All right, guys, so I am pumped. I'm excited. I cannot wait to pick up the Charger. The numbers are in. You guys have been waiting for the horsepower and the torque readings. Now, for those that have been following the build, I have a Cam 5.7, and I was really looking into 3 avenues to build more power. The number one thing was to get a centrifugal force supercharger and just apply it to my Cam 5.7, run 5 or 6 pounds of boost, and walk away with 550 wheel horsepower. Definitely a strong avenue, but I thought that the ceiling was a little bit too low with that setup. The next option was to just continue down the naturally aspirated route and get the largest stroker kit that I could possibly put on this thing, which was about 400 or 410, and kind of be flirting with the 500 wheel horsepower, 500 in torque avenue. And you know, I felt like it would have been a fun build to do that, but again, the ceiling was a little bit too low. I want to be running with Hellcats. I want this RT to be on the highway, and a Hellcat can't shake it. And I find it fun. I think it would be a fun trolling car. People see this RT and they're like, what the hell is that?
Oh yeah.
So I opted to do a fully forged stroker 345. So it's basically a 397 with a Genetti Racing cam, and the whole thing is designed for massive amounts of forced air. No, I don't have to worry about running 4 or 5 pounds of boost. This thing, when a forced air setup is selected, it's going to be running 15 pounds of boost or so. It'll probably be able to make more power than the rest of my car can handle. So really, I went big, okay? Threw that Hail Mary out there, but that doesn't stop the curiosity for how much power it's running in its naturally aspirated state. So let's take a look at how much horsepower and torque this thing is actually making.
This was not an NA build. If it was an NA build, I would have done things a little bit differently. I would have put more compression in it. I would have went with a different cam profile, maybe a different intake manifold. But again, this is all in anticipation of preparing it for a blower. And the goal was to get it to run as good as it could run on a blower-specific engine. And I think we've achieved that. This is a major gain over what it was. I think that car's going to be real fast. It's got more RPM range. It's got a lot of torque, and torque will get this thing moving in a hurry. And then when we put the blower on it, this thing's going to make some pretty outrageous power. It'll be able to handle it. The only other thing we put a fuel pump in it to go with this engine, and we'll just have to see how far that fuel pump will take us on the blower combination. It's fine on the NA combination. We got nice flat air fuel. It's a happy camper. So running about 0.86. And, you know, you probably could lean on a little bit harder, but I'm not chasing numbers. I'm just making a good, happy combination. I talk about that all the time. I talk about, you know, we're not going to chase numbers. We're just going to make the engine happy, give it what it wants, give it the right amount of fuel, the right amount of spark, make sure there's no knock, and make sure it's a good, reliable, repeatable power. And this thing repeats power. I got a number of pulls, over 21 pulls on this thing. A lot of them were low power, so what we discovered was the cam phaser was giving us some grief. And we had a situation where after about 8 pulls, all of a sudden we were missing about 40 horsepower and about 50 pounds of torque. It just disappeared. So it took a little a little doing. We wanted to do a process of elimination, make sure it wasn't a torque converter that was staying locked, and everything was good. We did a leak down on the motor, and we're 6%, which is amazing. 6% leak down is, anything under 10 is great, and 6 is phenomenal. Reconfigured the PCV system a little bit, so we did a bunch of stuff. Process of elimination to make sure that we didn't have anything mechanical going on that with the engine. And as it turns out, it's just, and I've seen this over my career so many times. Anytime you try to run a VVT cam, this thing has a 7-degree limiter in it. What's happening is it will retard and it'll stay there, and then it won't make any power. And then it comes back, it'll make power, and then it goes away and it won't make power. So we had a number of runs where made a pull, it was perfect, made a pull, missing 50 foot-pounds of torque, make another pull and it's perfect, make another pull and it's missing 50 foot-pounds of torque, and then it went away and it wouldn't come back. And then I made some adjustments in the tune and disabled the VVT, and all the power came right back, and it's repeatable now. It will do the same thing over and over and over again, and I'm making sure I must have made 10 pulls since I turned off the VVT system. So it's a happy camper. But we're happy with the way this turned out. I can't wait to see what this thing does with a little boost on it. Thanks, guys.
So Ted had it up on the dyno a whole bunch of times, and it was anywhere between 445 and 450, the best being 450 in wheel horsepower, which is a huge gain from 397. Also, always keep in mind that the compression is much different between a forced air setup and a naturally aspirated engine build. Okay, always keep that in mind. And then 455 in torque. So it is making some healthy amounts of torque numbers. And again, like I said, this thing is set up for a lot of boost. And once that boost, is ready to go, it should be closing in on Hellcat numbers, guys. It's a matter of, will the rest of the car be able to handle it, kind of a thing.